For the New Westminster Police Board to order. As always, we start with a land acknowledgement. We recognize and respect that New Westminster is on the unceded and unsurrendered land of the Halkomelem speaking peoples. We acknowledge that colonialism has made invisible their histories and connections to the land. As a city, we are learning and building relationships with the people whose lands we are on. This seems particularly pertinent given a couple of items that are on the agenda today, and just the overrepresentation of Indigenous people when it comes to sexualized violence or other issues that that we see in the community, and just always thinking about what our role is as a department, as an institution in reconciliation. So, are there any changes to the agenda? Any additions? I'm looking at Mary trying to do.
No, not for this meeting.
Yes, correct. Are there any other changes to the agenda? We are good. Okay, can someone move to adopt the agenda, please? Second. All in favor? Awesome. Okay, the consent agenda. Would anyone like to pull anything off consent? Mary.
Could I pull, sorry, I have to go find what it is. I would just like to pull 2.6, please.
Okay.
Just for a comment.
Yeah. And anyone else? Sure. Elsie, did you have the thing? Okay. Okay. Could someone move to adopt the consent agenda? Second. Second. All in favor? Excellent. 2.6. The BC Legal Systems treatment of intimate partner violence.
Oh, sorry, Tasha, sorry. I was a bit confused because I thought we were in closed, but we're in open. Makes so much more sense now. Can I pull 2.3 from consent as well?
Yes, you can-ish. Can we, no, but we just passed consent.
Oh,
Um,
want us to rescind?
I moved to unpass consent.
Second.
yeah, it's fine. Okay, 2.3, take it away, Drew.
Okay.
Monthly report on overtime.
Yeah, just a question for clarification from staff. I was curious, the admin services is quite over budget, it looks like. Why? Sorry, what does that include in admin services? I guess is the first question, and then there might be a why.
That to the chief, to Andrew.
Do you want to comment?
Yeah,
I can add.
I can add in. I know there was, we had a bit of a change last year to how some of our business codes were allocated. We did, when we did the budget this year, we moved some around to try to compensate. I believe this is just a result of perhaps maybe some more reallocation. It's still needed. I know there was some additional overtime for recruitment within that type of stuff, but I do believe some of it is just a reallocation amongst business units.
This also includes records though, right?
Oh, I was just picking up this morning, sorry. For records, yeah, you can speak to records.
Yeah. So, in regards to the admin side for civilian staff, we've had a couple of vacancies. So in our court services, we had a CPIC operator vacancy for quite a while. So you saw other staff and the supervisor doing additional overtime to compensate for that vacancy, as well as.
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking more at the not the civilian. Unless I'm reading this wrong, it's showing 40,777 per. I guess it's saying referencing the last report. That just. Why is that so high? And am I missing something? Am I missing something?
I will pull it up right now. That was the date for that one was the 20th?
Yeah.
So I'm seeing admin services of a year-to-date variance of 20,000.
What's the
Yeah,
40,000 number? I guess that's what my question is.
40,000 is what's been spent to date.
Okay.
So, yeah, last year, we had spent about 35,000. I think there has been some overtime in training and recruitment. But like I said, some of this had to do with the business unit allocation where training was previously, some of the units were posted elsewhere, and then
Training used to fall under community.
yeah, so now I think we just need to maybe move a little bit more up there.
Okay, no, that's good. I was just curious. That number just jumped out at me. So thanks.
So the 44 is the amount overall.
Anybody else have any questions about overtime?
I'll move to accept that then.
Great, can someone second that? Second. All in favor, all opposed, carried, awesome. 2.6, now we will go to the sexual violence report.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make a couple comments and question. I do really appreciate this report. I think this is the kind of information that really helps us as a board understand sort of the more complexities around policing and how it impacts our community. I'm really hoping that when we do the governance review, that part of that work is creating some kind of hub for reports and papers that board members can read and access over time, especially with onboarding. When you have a new board member coming on, it would be really great to have a repository of this kind of reporting. So thank you for providing this report. It's super dense and I read it fairly quickly, although I was very shocked. And I guess I shouldn't be shocked, but I was shocked to read some of the statistics in this report. Nearly half, 40%, 48% of women over the age of 15 in British Columbia have experienced intimate partner violence. And I know specifically in the news, we've heard about some really horrific situations recently, but I didn't realize how dire the numbers were. So this kind of report and information to us is really, really helpful. So thank you for providing it. My question around this report is, so when we get these kind of reports, when the department gets these reports, what do you do with this information? Like, is there some sort of action or does something come out of this that helps us to understand how this report might impact our own department?
Yeah,
That's great.
sorry, go ahead, Paul.
I was just gonna say, that's a great question, and yeah, so when we get these kind of large structural reports, or even coroner's inquest results, or police act matters that are public, we will assign staff to review them and then do it through the lens of our policies, procedures, and practices in place, or the ethics speed, or the things we need to change. So I think Andrew's will be taking that on and looking at where NWPD fits within some of the recommendations that come out of this, or some of the information that comes out of this report.
Okay, that's great.
You'll notice obviously the report is directed at the BC's legal system.
Yes.
And it's, addressed to the Attorney General. But at the same time, similar to you, as I started to glance through, I obviously saw comments that related to what they refer to as other institutional actors,
Sure.
that being the police. So as Paul said, we're gonna take a look at it and see how does that compare to our current operations, and then should consider for changing or improving from it. So,
Okay.
yeah, and there may be some takeaways too, once the actual Attorney General gets a chance to review it, go through it, and make their own kind of changes as well too. So, yeah.
Okay, that's great. I think that just, one of the reasons I pulled it off was just to bring attention to it, because this is the kind of thing that you hear about the incidents in the news, but you don't really hear about it sort of in the big picture. And I think it's really important information that community is aware of. So thank you for highlighting it.
Just when we have a large, report like this, based on Mary's last question, I think it might be helpful to have like a one-page executive summary that also details actionables for the department, I guess, and where you're going with the report, just so we have some additional context about what it means and the implications for the department and where you're moving on it.
That's a really good idea, Patrick.
That is, and I think, and you got this really recently, like.
We just got this last week.
Yeah, so we didn't, we wanted to throw it into, I'm not gonna see the board again until September, but that was a good point.
Similar actually to what Patrick was going to say. My question was the same as Mary's, but I was going to suggest that if it's not feasible to do an executive summary, it might be helpful for the board just to get a summary like that of your analysis once you've had a chance to complete it. So I'd be happy if it comes back to us. I think it would be good for the public to see as well, the actions that we're sort of taking, at least a summary of them, and how we think that these reports apply to us. So that would be lovely to see.
Anyone else on that?
Do you want me to move receipt of this report?
Sure, please. Thank you.
So moved.
Second, all in favor, that's very good. Okay, an update from our chief constable.
Thank you so much. I'll just note really quick as well, for the board, a change in kind of how we've structured the board reports. We've moved the operation bureau report and the operation support bureau reports into ongoing business. This is just just testing it out, I guess, for the board. Generally, both of these reports get pulled in some capacity. It also allows the deputies to highlight any significant or flag anything for the board within those reports. I just want to also congratulate board members Hart and Lalonde for their reappointments to the board, and the larger picture, thank the board again for all their support and guidance over the years, and looking forward to continued work. Updating a little bit on the school district 40 on the potential new MOU for a new envisioned police school relationship. We have had some meetings with school board staff regarding how that's going to look like moving forward. And where things are at now is school board staff are doing some research on what other MOUs look like around not only the province but the country. And hopefully they're going to draft some kind of an MOU, a draft MOU that we can all look at and then come to ground on as far as what we think it looks like. And this is obviously documents that we can be bringing back to our respective boards. I attended the BCACD conference in Penticton, June 24th to 26th. There were a number of interesting topics covered. I was able to attend as a member of the Out of Patrol Executive Advisory Committee. They're doing some great work. They're looking to expand what they're doing. Some great presentations from Wounded Warrior Canada on some of the trauma services they're providing to police services in the province and across the country. Mr. Begg attended and spoke and covered some of the issues that he sees affecting policing moving forward. We also had a very interesting presentation on the increase in anti-Semitism from the Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center. And I note also that I attended the graduation for our most recent class, 175. We had 3 members graduate from that. They've now joined our patrol unit. And then soccer school, kind of our flagship community event, launched yesterday with over 300 kids aged, I believe it's 5 to 10. They're basically there for the week. We have over 100 community volunteers, plus significant staff that are attending to support the event. So we're very excited about that. That's my report.
Any questions for?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I just wanted to acknowledge as well, we received $148,000 from the province with regards to C-STEP funding. So that's going to go towards enhanced proactive patrols in the downtown core. I want to thank staff who put that application forward, and I also thank the province for continued support in these areas
We love a
Did you say
provincial grant.
CSTEP?
C-STEP,
What's that stand for? No?
community safety, targeted, there's so many acronyms.
Enforcement.
Yeah, it's a new. Targeting offenders site, which is targeting criminal.
Repeat violent offenders.
And then this is more geared, it's more generalized. I think there was $5 million announced by the province last month, and then we had our application.
It's designed to tackle street disorder.
We don't know what the E and the P is.
Enforcement program.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
I'm waiting for there to be an acronym that's just like, not like site, or like, it's just like, well, like,
Yeah.
you know.
That doesn't actually say.
Yeah.
I think they've designed them so that it has the.
Yes, I know, but they'll run out of options soon enough. Does anybody have any questions for? No, we're good. I also just failed to mention, since it's tucked down there, that we have a guest today. Sorry, Eric.
No problem.
Do you want to introduce yourself in case board members, I think you all know who Eric is, but I'll just let you introduce
Yeah.
yourself.
If you don't know me, my name's Eric. I'm with the Major Crime Unit here in New West. I'm also the president of the New Westminster Police Association.
Thanks for being here. Also, cycling on a hot Canada Day at the Cities Canada Day event.
Yes, I'm participating in the Cause for Cancer ride. And so I was at the July 1st Canada event at Queen's Park, riding it. I was right beside the mayor.
Yes.
At his booth. Asked the mayor a question. Next one.
Lots of kids asking when free popsicle day would be. It's coming. Yeah, thanks for being here. And just to know, Eric, and that this is sort of off topic, but I think I get to do what I want. Ad-libbing rather. Eric and I met and had a really great, or I thought it was a great chat. And we'll continue to meet. And yeah, I think it's great that someone from the association can be here at board meetings. Yeah, so thanks for coming. Okay, 3.2 Operations Support Bureau.
Yeah, in the last police board meeting, the board asked for a little bit more details in regards to Circle, formerly known as PAC's involvement with some of our operational files. So it's listed on page 4 of the report. In June, there were 5 NWPD events last month that related to Circle. This ranged from referring people to Circle, or in one case, police asking Circle to assist with finding shelter options for a person. And in 2 events, Circle attended the scene and met with persons who appeared to be struggling with mental health issues, but who police did not believe could be apprehended underneath the Mental Health Act. So you're seeing a variety of different ways that we're engaging with Circle, and that Circle's engaging with us, including frontline response. So
That's great. Thank you for those stats. It's helpful. And I have a question.
Yes.
I just said what I need to say.
Okay, great. I have a question. Thank you for that. I guess, is that, like generally we haven't been, to date, we haven't been hearing about those interactions, so that's really helpful. That would be new to ask members to report on that, I'm guessing, or was that something that they were already doing and that we're just seeing?
There's already a template that is added to the file that asks whether or not Circle was involved or not in the incident at all. So that's been ongoing. What is new is that the board has asked for this, and we're now drawing it out and reviewing these on a regular basis just to be able to see what that involvement's like. But again, these just relate to our information, not what information Circle may have.
Yeah, great. And I guess my question would be, do we, when Circle has been the first call out, would we collect data on if police were then called by Circle to that call, or would they collect that data around?
I don't know the answer to that, meaning that in our cases, right, police were called or they made observations on the streets, right, that led to an interaction, and they actually requested, versus the reverse might be stand by and keep the peace, where we're asked to actually go and assist Circle, so to speak, right? So drawing on the template that was completed, which asked whether or not Circle was involved, I did not see any incidents of that for the month of June. Not to say we won't see that again in the future, but so far I have not seen that.
Okay, great. Anything else have anything? Yeah, one thing, I mean, I guess while we're on the topic of Circle, one thing, just to not let it get away with us, is get away from us, because Circle is a relatively new program, and I think everyone's just finding their footing around like what the relationship looks like. When I stopped by the station on Christmas Day last year, you know, everyone was out on mental health calls, and so I think it would be helpful. I'm not directing operations, but I would love to see, you know, sort of a collaborative plan of how we might alleviate some of the pressures on the department and have Circle involved in that holiday season, now that their hours have been extended. Yeah, so that we can spend time doing the other important things that need doing. Yeah, so I know it feels like a long time away. Christmas is a long time away, but it'll sneak up quickly, and it would be good to, good to have a plan, I think, in place. Okay, can someone move to receive that report for information?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? It's carried. Okay, the next one, Operations Bureau report.
So, speaking of mental health crises, I wanted to highlight there's 3 files in which our members did some excellent work engaging in some mental health crisis. The first was a person that was obviously in some difficulties and was hanging over the railing at the Pier Park garage. That was a call for service that we received. and our members attended and had to quickly make a decision on what to do. And they were able to grab a hold of the person, carry them over the railing, and obviously get them the help and services that they needed. So that's the first one. The second one was a similar situation, but it was on Patella Bridge. And the person was basically hanging over the edge of the bridge, and our members basically bear hugged them and grabbed them and pulled them back over. Which these are very, very difficult files, and the decision making has to be fairly quickly. This wasn't one where it was we could negotiate because they already had some intent to actually decide to jump. The third one is an overdose. Our members attended to the downtown court. Some issues with that was trying to get through some traffic, but they were able to attend, found a person unconscious in the middle of the road, provided naloxone and medical support until the HS arrived, and were able to revive this person and get them to the hospital. So some great work by our members, I think, and I just wanted to highlight those two. Yeah. Any questions? And if there's anything else you'd like to highlight out of the report, just let me know.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. That's really great to hear. And I know this is already information that's in our report. Might just moving forward, might be helpful to just let us know that you're going to be talking about a possible suicide. I just am cognizant that there might be people in this room or listening who are pretty sensitive to hearing that. So appreciate the work of members. It's not, I don't mean that. I just mean when we're reporting on it, just flagging that we're going to be highlighting those cases might be helpful.
Okay.
Just like people could brace themselves if that's something that impacts them personally. Does anybody have any questions about report? No? Dana?
That's the report.
Okay, second. All in favor? All those carried. And strategic plan update.
Yeah, so this is something that myself had talked about. So as we know, our plan is out of cycle by at least a year. It was due to be completed in 2024. And just to go back, the board, and talking with the board, there was a decision made or kind of a plan to delay re-implementing our strategic plan to try and align it with a change in council or a new city council to incorporate some of their potential strategic plan initiatives into ours, and certainly consider it. In talking, again, Tash, I'll refer to you a little bit on this. I just wanted to bring it back to the board, and perhaps it's a discussion again to have. Maybe that's perhaps waiting a bit too long to be out of a strategic plan cycle for the better part of 2 years. Given that even if we have a new strategic plan in place, we will always be considering what the city council strategic plan has to say, if it impacts us or things we can incorporate. So it's really more to generate discussion on the board about what the board would like to see moving forward with regards to a strategic plan initiative. Do they want to start it sooner than later?
That's great, thanks. Yeah, we, as board, we had chatted about deferring the strategic planning process to better align it with council's term. And then sort of thinking about when that process actually happens for a new council, their strategic plan really isn't endorsed or adopted until sort of 6 or so months after they start. So we're looking at sort of mid 2027, I guess. And so I think for me, when we were having the conversation about deferral, it was really it's only till the fall of 2026, but actually we won't have sort of that information from council. And I think we can also suspect some of the key pieces that would be in any council's strategic priorities. So just bringing it back as a conversation around whether or not we want to do sort of a mini update, spend some time, have a dedicated meeting in the fall for the board to just take a good look at what's in there, with the senior leadership team, of course, and see if there are any gaps, anything that we want to add, just in that sort of 18 months, period before we're doing a bigger overhaul. So I just wanted to bring that back and
and see what people thought about that. So open for conversation. What do you think? Yes.
I think I'm open to having, an afternoon to like just review the document and see what still fits and what might need some tweaking, like not a huge overhaul, but like just ensuring it still meets the needs, because I think, 2027 is far away.
Drew?
Yeah, I would agree with Heather. I guess for me, we have some governance work that we've started, and I think that will be informed by whatever's coming from PSSG, hopefully between now and the fall. Like from my perspective, I think that needs to be our priority work, and if we get all of that stuff sorted out and implemented, that puts us in pretty good stead to then shift into strategic planning. So I would be supportive of looking at what we've got, and if there's some minor updates that we want to make at this point, but really focus our work on getting those governance pieces sorted out and implemented, particularly given that we're going to be down. Well, we don't know when we'll actually have the two new folks, and with Alejandra down, I worry about capacity. So I think if we do a minor refresh or look at it, but I think the focus should be, from my perspective, on the governance work.
Yeah, I'm supportive of the comments that the other board members made, and I think potentially part of that conversation around looking at the strategic plan is probably around how we'll continue to report on and action it over the next 18 months until we start our next strategic planning cycle. So I think it'd be nice to sort of just bring a bit of focus back to it as a board.
Patrick, Mary, do you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I agree with what Drew's stated, and I wouldn't want to spend a lot of board resources on this, but if we're just doing an afternoon or something, that's okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking like in-house,
Yes.
I could facilitate something, not,
Yeah.
spending any money. Okay, so we'll plan maybe the end of toward the end of the year, thinking of getting that governance review done, governance plan done, and then moving on to that. Perfect, okay. New business, notice of the upcoming Canadian Association Police Governance, CAPGA, AGM. I guess is that me? There will be an AGM at the August conference. Am I the only person attending the conference? Currently. Okay. So I will maybe be by default the voting designate, but I think the board needs to move approval of appointing me as the voting delegate.
I move to appoint Tasha.
Second.
Okay. Anyone want to motivate that? No, I'm just joking. All in favor? All opposed, carried. Excellent. So I will report back on how that goes. Looking forward to that. And okay, moving on to community partnerships and equitable policing.
Yeah, so really quickly, this is a report that's mandated for us to produce to the board under the police standards with regard specifically to 6.12 community engagement. Required we provide not only the board, but also our membership with some information, including the demographic makeup of our community, New Westminster. Granted, the data in this report is dated, it's I think from 2021 from the census, but that's the most accurate data that we have. And of course, I believe there'll be another census done in 2026, so we can certainly update this report at the time. Information regarding local First Nation communities and including their elected and traditional leadership. And as you'll see in this report, we have about 3% of our population is Indigenous. We have a urban Indigenous population. We don't have a specific nation. We have 6 nations currently that have some level of claim to areas that are now known as New Westminster. So that's incorporated into this report. Very briefly, I know the city is engaged in a lot of work in this area as well. So we're to some degree following their lead a little bit with regards to engaging with these different nations. But we're also, this dovetails into our own reconciliation planning that Andrew Perry is dealing with and how we move forward on that. And there's a little bit in there as well, just, some history. We all hopefully are aware of about, traditionally poor relationship between the criminal justice system and policing, specifically with Indigenous nations. And when I say poor, probably not the best choice of words, it's really due to some of the practices that police have done over the years. We go back to the 60s scoop, and certainly removing kids from Indigenous communities to send them to residential schools. So there's a long history, and New West PD going back many years is certainly part of that as well. So it's just acknowledgement of that and some of the history that goes in there with Indigenous police relations. So that's, I'm happy to take any questions on that.
Thank you for this report. I guess now that you said it was a report that's required by the law, that makes more sense. I wasn't really clear on the purpose of this report. I mean, it does provide a lot of information, which I think is useful, but it didn't really tell me like the so what about it. Like what are the actions that our department might or might not take out of this report, and perhaps that's not the purpose of it. But I guess what I would hope is that we would either provide some kind of summary of what actions or I guess actions is the right word. How our department might action some of this information, or how it impacts our department. Maybe that's something that can be included in our strategic planning discussions, but it just felt like a bit of a, here's some information, but I just didn't know, like, what does that mean to us? Like, how does that, there's some loose talk about, developing relationships and stuff like that, but it just felt a little like information, but not what the impact of this information is. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So, yeah, I mean, fair points. This report specifically to satisfy the policing standard is just an information piece.
Yeah.
What I think it highlights is the unique situation that New Westminster and Police Department find themselves in that, we don't have a dedicated land-based Indigenous nation, First Nation that we're very much engaged with. There's 6 different nations involved. I think some of what things look like moving forward will be more focused in our reconciliation planning that we're doing. It is complex, and we are doing what we can to try and thread the needle and make sure that we get the right individuals supporting us in how this work looks like moving forward.
Okay. Yeah, I guess maybe what I'm looking for is like, how will we use this information? Where will it show up in the other work that we do?
The specific sort of to the Indigenous piece, that will be more on our reconciliation initiatives moving forward. We have a very strong relationship with Chief Montelarity and Kayuk First Nation. But what does it look like with the other nations? The police department, we don't have any real relation with any of the other nations. So how that looks like moving forward, I think will be informed by our reconciliation work.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm just wondering how often is this report supposed to come to the board?
It's not defined in the policing standards. Like some of them are where we have to report out annually. I would say that probably once the next census data comes out, we would revisit it, because I think you'll see significant changes, or maybe not the demographic, but sort of the population increase and potentially the demographics as well. So I think next year, once we have more census data, we can reproduce this.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, that was a question. Thank you.
Anybody else? We have moved to receipt. Second. All in favor, all opposed, carried. Adjudicators' recommendations.
Yes, again, really quickly, this is more just an information piece of the board. This was a Police Act matter that went to a public hearing involving a very tragic situation in Victoria, where a woman was shot by an Arwen round. Unfortunately, she was struck in the head and died as a result of that. So this matter proceeded through the Police Act process, through the public hearing process, retired justice, adjudicator. There was 2 issues that on there. One was the use of force issue, and the other was note taking. Those aren't necessarily relevant to board conversation. Really, why I wanted to flag this is the second kind of adjudication that I've seen where there's a direct recommendation from the judicial individuals suggesting that policing need to have body worn cameras. And I know that is a conversation, there's various opinions about the usefulness of body worn cameras. And it is a conversation I think that needs to happen. I just want to flag again the potential pressures that we will see as a police department moving forward to implement, or at least be looking at this technology. So I know Inspector Muskirka has been doing a lot of work in this area, just background work. Hopefully we'll have some kind of information package that we can bring back to the board for discussion and see what that looks like. Because it's, you know, I think we're probably of the kind of mid-sized to larger police departments in the province, including the RCMP, we're probably the only one that's not actively either deploying these cameras or at least working on some kind of pilot project. So I just think it's a valid board discussion. I just don't want to see the organization find itself in a position where it's being foisted upon us and we haven't actually done the legwork on the issue.
Looking at Patrick, waiting for him to put his hand way up in the air.
I have too much to say, too short a time, I think, but yeah, I'd like to see a larger study, I guess, on what it would look like for NWP to implement this kind of thing, but I'm happy to bring the counter perspective that I emailed to the board previously about body cams. I would love for the province to mandate this if that's what they want to do, because it would make it easy for us, that decision, and then perhaps we can talk about provincial funding for those kind of models as well. But I don't love that it's just courts kind of forcing it upon individual services. It's kind of a stopgap measure. So yeah, larger conversation.
And I could say anecdotally, and Martha weigh in if you think there's anything else, that they are not cheap, they can cost, there's a lot of back-end support, data storage, privacy issues, staffing issues, disclosure issues with Crown, like, and I'm hearing this from other chiefs that are in either a full-on implementation or some form of a pilot project. They come with significant costs. And while I think there's potentially some benefits, I don't know if there's what the most up-to-date study is on what the actual impact is. Like, what is it that we're trying to accomplish here, and what will these devices? I mean, at this, my impression of them is they're a really advanced evidence gathering tool, which is great. But what's the ROI of what resourcing we're going to put in these?
Yeah, that would be my number one concern, because they're often kind of held out as this silver bullet solution to any number of issues like use of force and so on, and it's not that. I mean, anecdotal evidence and statistical evidence shows that it's not going to reduce use of force. It's probably not going to increase positive interactions between the police and the public. But as an evidentiary tool, retroactive, yeah, it's great, right, to have that video footage. So if that's the reason we're doing it, then great. But I don't want to mislead the public and say, oh, this is going to fix all of these problems, or, because studies show it doesn't quite work that way, unfortunately.
No, not beyond what Chief mentioned.
Thank you for that, Patrick. I also welcome that conversation when we get there. I'm interested to learn more about it and to understand sort of the pros and cons, so look forward to that. My comment is more sort of procedural or housekeeping. I didn't know why I was reading this report. And I think about sort of the public reading an open report, thinking, what does this have to do with us? So if we could have had a little bit of a summary as to like, why was this dropped into the package? Because it was interesting, but I didn't understand personally what it had to do with our discussions or conversations. And I would wonder how the public would read this report and wonder why is that even in there? So that's just more of a procedural, but like just a one pager that says this report is here because, or whatever. Yeah.
I agree with Mary.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I was very confused.
I read between the lines.
I know you did, but I was like, why am I reading this?
Okay, can someone move for receipt? Someone second. All in favor, all those carried. Okay. On to the next controversial, no, not controversial, remotely piloted aircraft system, or new technology, I should say.
Yeah, so similar to the body worn camera conversation, this is a report, unfortunately, Inspector Coomer's not here to get a lot of legwork on this. This is a report to generate some discussion with the board about what we would like to do moving forward with regards to RPAS, remote piloted aircraft systems. We are probably one of the few police departments in the province that don't deploy some level of this technology. So the reports, it's just an initial kind of position piece that we have and what we'd like to do moving forward. There's a lot of work that will have to be done and come back to the board if we do move forward, including policy work, privacy impact assessments, and then of course funding considerations. We intend on putting some funding in there for 2026 capital, but again, different options as well, whether we can obtain provincial funding through civil forfeiture, or if there's excess money left in the 2025 budget to implement this if we move forward. But it's really, again, similar to how we probably do the body worn camera thing, bring forward a proposal of where we're looking at going. It's something that's would modernize, improve our modernization in the police department and improve officer safety and potentially improve outcomes with regards to missing persons files and search and rescue. And we've had a couple of cases recently where we've had to seek assistance from other organizations to provide that service for us.
Let's open that up for discussion. Drew?
Yeah, thanks, Tasha. A question, I guess, directed at Jacqueline. It's weird. I can only see Mary and the chief constable on the camera, so I'm assuming everyone else is in the room. So, question for Jacqueline: if we end up in a surplus situation, is this something that we could expend dollars on this fiscal year, or is there a restriction from a capital perspective? I'm not sure what our capital thresholds are within the department.
In terms of our capital budget, we're forecasting the majority of that to be spent. We're still finalizing the e-com radios, and depending on which unit is selected will depend on if there's any budget availability. So for capital right now, I would say it would be fully spent. The department's been looking at other ways to utilize any of the surplus if there is some. So I think that's a discussion that would be best suited for sort of late September. Just because there's a number of factors and that still, we're still fairly early in the year. Q2 should be ready for review by September. We haven't closed the month yet, but we're working through it.
I think Japanese asking what is considered like the capital.
Oh, the capital threshold.
Yeah, I'm thinking more if we.
Yeah,
like
so a unit should be a minimum $5,000 in 5 years of useful life.
Okay.
So there wouldn't be an opportunity if we had an operating surplus, there wouldn't be an opportunity to expend any of those dollars towards this.
Depending on with the training costs, yes. There'd be some pieces that could, but for the unit themselves, it should go to capital.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Yeah. Let's go. Oh, Heather.
I think one of the ongoing costs that's probably been missed is that there's like a cost of like probably retaining the video footage over time, like on your servers or that kind of space piece. But overall, I think I'm supportive of this type of technology. I think when we think about some of like the efficiencies that we're hoping to gain and we look at like doing things differently, I think this type of proposal like kind of like looks at like doing things differently and giving current state officers different tools to be able to meet the needs. So I think it makes a lot of sense to give this type of technology. And I kind of like how it's not like for every interaction, it's more like depending on the situation where you deploy it. So.
I was just wondering on the sort of, I guess, like human impact piece. I'm thinking about on the department side. Can somebody sort of just explain to me like how does this work in terms of staff time? So is the idea that instead of a staff, like an officer who would actually physically be going into a situation, that person would be piloting this remote, I'm not going to use the right terminology. Yeah. Or like, is there an additional staff implication here? Like, is there a need for more, or are we hoping that this is just going to like offset, like staff time will offset to be sort of piloting these instead? I just don't quite understand like what this would look like.
Yeah, in its current format, I know Inspector Kumar did a lot of work. We have a few in-house subject matter experts that do this kind of stuff on their own time, so it wouldn't require, you're not looking for a dedicated RPAS operator. This would be another tool in the toolbox for members to utilize when they're doing high-risk issues. Yes, it would require someone to obviously be flying it, and certainly for the more controlled search type stuff. Again, it's just an enhancement to what they already have. So we're not looking for necessary additional FTEs to support the project. There will obviously be some level of increased storage, data storage, which I can't speak to that currently. But yeah, there wouldn't be an increase in FTEs. It'd be just an additional tool that they can use for everyday work.
Yeah, I guess this is probably something that will need to be thought about more when we think about policy, and it's sort of considered here with like the privacy impact. But yeah, I think that is like my other primary concern, that I trust that as we go through this process and we actually look at what this will look like, that'll be adequately considered. But yeah, just in the same way that I think about privacy when I think about body worn cameras, it's sort of the same package to me here. I just want to make sure that we're considering everything we need to consider and not doing this in a respectful and thorough sort of way.
Just for my own needs and the public, this is a drone, right? Is it a fancy drone?
Yes,
I would just call it what most of us would know it as. Is it a fancy drone?
It's a remote piloted. Yes, I mean,
It's a drone.
Yeah.
It is certainly, yeah, I mean, that's the colloquial term for it.
Okay, thank you. I
yeah,
just wanted to be very clear that that's what it was. Okay. And most of my colleagues have made comments that I support and are similar to mine. The things that would be really important to me when we get to the finalization of this project is the storage of data. And I think Heather brings up a good point, like how much will it cost us to store that video? I think that will also be important. And then I also really care about the privacy piece. So how does it impact people's privacy, intended or otherwise? I was interested to know, there was a comment about we would be doing a PIA, and I wonder, do we do those internally, or do we have a firm do PIAs for us?
No, our freedom of information staff do those for us.
Okay, great. And then, so just to also clarify, this is not a requirement by the province. This is something that some departments are doing. We would like to possibly do it as well, but it isn't a requirement.
It's not a requirement. I would say probably most, if not all, police departments have some version of this system.
Okay. Those are my questions.
And then regarding, and I think it speaks to it here, regarding the storage of data, so our digital evidence management is done through, we have a program, it's called DEMS, Digital Evidence Management System. It's required or paid Axon to give us this system. It's supposed to interface with Crown Council's system. It does not currently, but it would be stored in there basically. So all our digital evidence, and there's a lot of it now, whether it's gathered, is stored in this system. So Andrew, you might be able to speak a bit more, but it's a cloud.
I would expect that we would want it to be on there. Our department pretty much, there are some exceptions. The goal is to have everything stored on DEMS. The DEMS system that is now being operated is operated actually by the province through Crime Corp.
Okay, good.
So that happened a few years ago.
Okay.
So
So we don't
that's,
pay for that?
no, we pay for it.
Oh,
Yeah, we all pay for it. Yeah, every police agency does. Yeah. So it's done on a membership basis, like how many members you have, basically done that way. So that is already in place, and obviously there's a lot of benefits of using that system for storage, audits, you name it, and everything like that. Data integrity.
Okay.
So sorry.
Thank you very much.
I would just, I guess, in the same vein as any associated costs with data storage, it would be useful to know as well going forward what any ongoing operating costs would be, whether there's, I don't know how our passes or drones work. Like if we need a service contract with a vendor, or if we need to buy replacement blades
like what's the
or
life-
batteries or whatever, sort of what the ongoing operating impact would be. So we should account for that as well too, just so we have transparency into that.
Yeah, it's kind of true. What are like some details around like the lifespan of these devices as well.
Yeah. But overall, I'm supportive of the technology myself. I think it's cool.
Drew loves the new technology.
Well, at the Association of Police Board conference last year, I got to see the ones that the Vancouver police have. They're pretty cool technology.
Okay, awesome. Can someone move forward?
So moved.
Second. I'll say that Drew seconded, all in favor, all opposed, carried. And finally, the Commission of Inquiry into Community Event Safety Report. Andrew,
Yeah,
is that
this report was just released in the middle of last week. We're reviewing the report's content and recommendations. So we're going to compare them to our own NWPD operations, see whether or not we should make any changes or improvements. Obviously, the report is directed towards the province, so the province also needs time to review the report before it decides on what actions that it will take. The report did make 6 recommendations to the province. I'll just go over them very quickly. First one, that all public events in British Columbia, regardless of size, should be supported by a risk assessment. Number 2, the province should establish clear criteria for consultation that defines the roles and responsibilities of all parties involved in event planning, approval, and emergency response. Number 3, the province should establish a centralized hub to support event safety across British Columbia. This hub would provide accessible, standardized advice and training and practical tools for event organizers, municipal officials, and others involved in planning public gatherings. Number 4, the province should consider expanding the availability of targeted grants or financial support and practical tools for event organizers. To help offset event-related safety and security costs. Number 5, the province should encourage and promote regular tabletop exercises that include police, fire, emergency management services, and other event organizers. And lastly, number 6, to monitor the progress and effectiveness of any implemented recommendations. The province should encourage the routine use of after-action reports and structured public feedback collection following events. So we will obviously do our own review, but also await the province's review and any direction that they may have on this. So.
questions, comments? This report would have also gone to the city for any piece that they have on the event planning side, or?
I can't answer that. Yeah. It's publicly, like it's released, so.
Right, so,
Yeah, I, for example, went on the website and got it versus it was not sent to me.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
I had to go obtain it.
Well, thank you for seeking that out. Yeah, I think this follows the same thread of the previous report around, it would be helpful once you've done the analysis to hear back what that has meant for the department and any changes to operations, or to kind of check off the things that we're already doing really well. Yeah. Anybody else?
Just quickly because we opened the public meeting, we currently do use a fairly robust system. It's the gold, silver, bronze command system that we use, which is similar to what I think most police departments in BC are utilizing. So we do robust risk assessments on any community events, and it's all very structured. We'll certainly look forward and see if there's things that we can change or implement. But there is a very robust system in place for any folks.
I think, in a report back on that, I think it's, while it's helpful to understand how things that we do might change, I think it's also helpful for the public to understand what some of the current practices are. Someone might see that and think, oh my gosh, like this is all new things that they're not doing. And so I think it's helpful to outline exactly, just for people's sense of security and peace of mind, that there's already a lot of this work being undertaken here. Okay. Move for receipt. Moved. Second. All in favor? All opposed, carried. Awesome. And I will move to adjourn this open meeting. Second. Second. All in favor? All opposed, carried. Excellent. Have a great summer, everyone.
Hey, folks.
Well, the public.
Oh.